Welcome back, friends. Now for the flip side of the coin. We're going to be talking about the curse of knowledge today. Now, what is the curse of knowledge? Well, the curse of knowledge is something that I learned about in a marketing class 10 years ago, and best described on Wikipedia as a cognitive bias that occurs when an individual who is communicating with others fails to disregard information that is only available to themselves, assuming they all share a background and understanding. This bias is also called by some authors the curse of expertise. For example, in a classroom setting, teachers may have difficulty if they cannot put themselves in the position of the student. A knowledgeable professor might no longer remember the difficulties that a young student encounters when learning a new subject for the first time. This curse of knowledge also explains the danger behind thinking about student learning based on what appears best to faculty members as opposed to what has been verified with students. Now, there's a lot of teaching analysis associated with curse of knowledge, but in business it's used often for somebody who's trying to sell something and then selling it poorly because they're like, one of my favorite examples was like a dueling piano show, and people thinking, oh, are people gonna do like an old school style Western duel? Like, no, it's just two people playing two pianos and doing songs together. But you wouldn't know that if you had no idea and you had no context, right? If you've heard that before, then you know what it is. But something we don't know from playing lots of different games is how to work around Star Citizen. This game is beautiful and wonderful, and it is also super screwed up, right? I don't know how I lost my right wing. I just got into a battle. I have like an intermittent torque interference. Two of my weapons work, the other four do not, but they're all still powered. So if I can turn them off, then presumably I'll get some mag power back to these other two. So we're going to fiddle around and talk about this one first. So this is one of the most annoying things in Star Citizen, is just ships. Just your ship. Just there's lots of things with them, but one of them that we're going to talk about right now is just weapons, right? So a lot of I got in the ship and the weapons weren't working before I got shot by anybody. So for anybody wondering why, go back and watch my last video. You get a play-by-play of everything that happened there. Now, I do notice that some of these are set to different weapon groups, so I'm going to slide these over to my 0 weapon group. It's easier for me to pull the trigger on anyway. We're going to see if that changes any of them. Nope. Still only getting 2 badgers. And you'll see it just slid something back over to weapon group 1. Don't know why. Just decided to do that. Now, something I can do, it was the top and the bottom one. I'll go ahead and put these into weapon group 1 just to make sure that those ones are the different ones. I'll squeeze my trigger and then check that that's happening there. And then what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll power all of these down. That's the worst case scenario, they've been shot off your ship, but your ship thinks they're still attached. So if you turn all of them off, worst case scenario, I'm going to get 80 round mags on my 2 batteries, right? So that's going to be my worst case outcome here, a quick fix. But they sometimes will just turn back on. I don't know why. I don't know why it just did that. I don't know why it felt like that was something that needed to happen there. But it's not the first time that's happened. And it's not going to be the last time. And it's just agitating. So sometimes what you want to do in these situations is just get out of your ship. If you just land it and get out of it. Also, this has been a cool, can I just take a moment? I should put this in the last one. But being on a planet while the sun rises in the middle of nowhere after you shot down a bunch of people because your ship is broken and you're trying to fix it. You just don't get that anywhere else. Let's see if it's work. So it's showing all of them turned back on now. And I'm getting 4 of them to fire. So sometimes I'll just come out to range here. So the 2 spinal mounted guns are the ones that aren't working, which is a little weird because those ones can't just be shot off. And that's one of the things in Star Citizen that's just tough for new people, is because we have troubleshot a lot of these issues so many times that we understand how they may or may not work. But what I really want to underscore is if you're new, you're not alone. Okay, everybody has gone through this stuff, and even though the more seasoned players aren't really great at describing how to solve simple problems, there's somebody who would, in my experience, 90+% of the community wants to help each other enjoy the game, which means working through this stuff. So press F12, turn your chat back on, and just start asking questions when you run into issues. Get on Discord, get on Reddit. Reddit, it might be a cesspool for other communities, but the Star Citizen Reddit is incredibly helpful. Missions generally, like what can you do, what can't you do? One of the good examples I'd written on my notes and talked about the last time was that you really should never take one of the cave missions for bounty hunting. Not because they're not fun, they're not immersive. They actually are pretty. I mean, you can just take it not to go do it, but they glitch out most of the time. There's usually somebody missing. I have a really good 890 jump walkthrough mission of me doing it and spending 20 minutes looking for the last guy who was just EVA, extra vehicular activity. Okay, here's a couple of other things that you don't know. First off, you can go to the other side of the planet using your quantum drive if it's to something that's planet-based. Then you'll orbit the planet and end up at it. But if you want to go to something that's in orbit, it won't work. You also are often going to have issues where you'll have a marker and sometimes it'll just do this, where like you'll still get the marker to zoom to it and it'll calibrate and you can jump to it. But everyone else in the game knows that F2 is one of the most often pressed buttons. To press F2 and to press clear route. Once you clear the route, it's going to repopulate with several of the jump locations that you didn't have before. Why? Nobody knows. And this is not like this game is super glitched. It's that as somebody who's played the game for a lot of hours, it's just second nature to me. I know to do that 3-second fix that for other people would just be incredibly agitating. You'd be spending forever just trying to get somewhere. You'd probably give up on the mission if it doesn't automatically give you that jump point and it doesn't let you just zoom to it. You might have just hovered over it and problem solved it like I often do, which is just hover over the location and then just jump to it even though it doesn't show up and it doesn't show it spooling. Those are all equally valid ways to solve the problem. And this is not a how to solve problems in Star Citizen video. This is a community. Please know that this is a thing. One of the other things, reviewing keys. There's so many keys for so many things, and I totally got called out on this because I just felt like, well, gimbaled weapons should automatically gimbal to their target. The way to activate gimbals that you already have on your ship is just tap the G setting, and then that's going to bring up this other circle in circle that's going to allow you to hit ships way easier because your guns are going to kind of move and oscillate to match your target, and it gives you a much bigger hitbox for hitting your opponent. Cycling your pip can also be something that's really helpful. I like cycling to the lag pip because it helps me keep my eyes on the ship instead of on the pip, if that makes sense. Because the pip will be on the ship instead of out in front of it or behind it, depending on which direction they're going in. There are some other ones I just wanted to highlight here. When you're in FPS, there are all kinds of issues. You might have an object that gets stuck in your hand. Community knows, enter your inventory screen. You can drag that item and drop it on the ground and then pick it back up again, or just put it in storage. That's going to allow you to keep doing stuff, and that works really well. You can also end up having like 2 guns stuck in your hand and neither of them will fire. You can pull the clip out of the gun and then it will reload it from one that you have on your hip if you put it back on your hip. Grabbing clips out of backpacks does work this patch, but it doesn't always work great, so you sometimes have to cycle those out. It does drop your used clips now most of the time, but if it doesn't do that, you can drag a clip onto that slot and it'll drop that clip and put a new one on. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that happens with first-person combat. Be careful of where you're shooting. Sometimes they don't correctly mark the people that are on your side. You need to look to see what uniform they're wearing. Stuff like that. There are a lot of walkthroughs through for the more frequently played game types, but some of the other game types like research or packages just don't get that much play from most of the community, and so they don't really get a lot of tweaks or explanations. So just be aware that first person stuff can be really wonky. Use the inventory screen to micromanage a lot of that stuff. Being able to put all of another character's armor on doesn't work if you have your own jumpsuit and helmet on. But if you take off your jumpsuit and helmet, you can just drag their undersuit and it'll put everything that they have on their person onto you. There are a whole bunch of like quick tips, tricks, and hacks, but there are also things that just make no sense when you are playing the first time. Like, why can't I just swap the helmet by dragging the other helmet onto my person? It's not like I'm actually physically grabbing the helmet and putting it on me when I don't have it that way. So why are you making me take mine off in order to put one on instead of just letting me swap it out? That's weird. Again, that one's not a glitch. That's just how the game has been composed and how the game has been made. So if you aren't aware of that, you just would never be aware of it. Whenever you're going to a security outpost, if you are going to one that is provide backup like this one, you can land at that outpost. If it's clear hostiles, that means it's hostile controlled and the turrets will shoot you. Now, if I accidentally shoot or injure one of the people that are on my side, then the turrets will activate against my ship and blow up my ship. And I could end up being stranded here. And without somebody to explain to you a lot of this stuff, you can get really agitated in this game. Here we go. Just grab the gun. Okay, see him? I already know that's a bad boy uniform. Anybody wearing purple is usually bad. Also know that they will be facing somewhere, but will like immediately turn and face a different direction to kill you. We're just gonna try to clear through a couple of these people before I try to show the armor sequence. But these red boxes are your best friend if you don't have weapons or ammo. Just dropping a gun even when it has a lot of the ammo can still be a good idea. Just because having a full round clip can be really useful. All the boxes will lock down when you have killed everyone. So one of these other tips and tricks is knowing to not kill everyone. You want to leave one dude alive. And then once you kill most of them, it'll tag your targets now, which is both convenient and really useful for knowing where they are so that you don't get in a fight with them. Wearing pirate armor will indicate to other human players that you are a pirate. So you might not want to wear that armor. You want to take off your helmet first, then you want to drop whatever gun you have on your back, and then you're going to dump your undersuit, okay? Then you're going to walk up to whatever body you want. See this guy? This is actually Crusader security, so we're going to loot him, and we're going to just drag the whole undersuit onto our person. Boom. Everything that he had equipped is now equipped to us, including ammo. So if he had a gun next to him, there are just a lot of things in the game, okay? And anybody who tells you otherwise is lying to you. Because when the guns start to bounce around, you can just crouch down and tap F to pick up the thing instead of holding down F and clicking grab. Tapping F will just select the default choice. Okay, if things are lying on the ground, they're probably used. Don't pick them up. If they're attached to a person, they're probably not. If the armor looks bigger and thicker, it's probably bigger and thicker armor. That's going to reduce damage that's done to you. And it's going to give you more space to hold things. And it's going to give you more ammo clip slots. All those things. If you want more of these tips and tricks, please let me know. I'm happy to make more of these videos. I think that they can be really helpful. And I think that they can help smooth these processes. But I think having this conversation is the more important thing that I really wanted to stress. There are lots of reasons to love this game. And there are a lot of reasons to quit the game 2 weeks after you started. And we need to, as a community, do better at helping bridge that gap for people who just bought the game and who can see the wonder, the beauty, and the amazing opportunity, but get really agitated at the minute details that we have all learned to work around. With that, signing off. Hope you all have a good one. Keep on gaming. Get out there and fly in the verse. Until next time, see you later.